isn't running a social network. He's accused of running a dark money network. The shocking claims about where his last $500 million went, that's up next. And later, an iconic Brooklyn diner is hanging on by a thread like so many restaurants out there. And the owners have a special way of saying thank you to New. So a bombshell report from the Amistad project about Mark Zuckerberg's influence on the 2020 election. The report outlines an intricate dark money system funded by Zuckerberg, allegedly, and his big tech cronies. It looks like Zuckerberg donated $500 million to buy the election right out from under the nose of the American people. Here's how Amistad says he did it. In addition to Zuckerberg's cash infusion, Amistad insists there were 4 main foundations distributing the funds to 10 different nonprofits. Just look at how complicated and intricate these relationships are. Guess what? It's designed that way. You need a map just to read this thing. And that is exactly, apparently, what Amistad says Zuckerberg wanted, for his election meddling to disappear in the details. Then, Amistad believes the nonprofits funneled the donation money into election efforts in Arizona, Georgia, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. Money that wasn't needed because the federal government had already provided funding to the states to carry out their election duties. The report also found that the private funding skirted certain state and federal processes. Bottom line is, Amistad insists all of this was illegal. Well, joining me now is the director of the Amistad project. He should know a little bit about something about what's illegal. He was the former Attorney General in Kansas. Philip Klein is with us. General, it's great to see you. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you. My pleasure.
So I looked at this and I said, holy cow. If it's not just Zuckerberg, I bet you he's got buddies involved in this too.
Absolutely. The Skoll Foundation, the Arabella Fund, many of the traditional funds on the left are involved in funneling these monies and creating a public-private partnership with blue state election officials and governors that shares sensitive information about citizens with the private sector and also invites the private sector in to manage our election process, all the way from telling the local officials what they must do to manage the election and additionally designing the software for the poll books for our elections.
All right, so look, Zuckerberg's a very smart guy. He founded Facebook and all that, but, you know, I don't know. Is he this politically savvy that he concoct all this? I mean, who do you think is really behind all this?
Well, in March 2020, a man by the name of David Plouffe was working for Mark Zuckerberg. He is Obama's former campaign manager, and Plouffe published a book called The Citizen's Guide to Defeating Donald Trump. And on page 81 of that book, he talked about how the 2020 election was going to come down to a block-by-block street fight to turn out the urban vote in Minneapolis, Wisconsin, Milwaukee, and Detroit. And soon after, Zuckerberg money starts flowing directly through the charity called Center for Tech and Civic Life, $350 million to that charity alone, directly into those cities for the purpose of turning out the vote. And that's what internal documents show. This wasn't about election safety. It was about targeting a demographic to turn out the vote for the benefit of Vice President Biden. And the problem with it is that government can't play favorites in an election. They bought up local election officials and told them what to do. It was Zuckerberg money that paid the salaries of the election judges, Zuckerberg money that paid the people who boarded up the windows. Zucker boxes collected the ballots, contrary to state law, those big drop boxes. And it was Zuckerberg people who counted the ballots. That is a problem in America. We can't privatize elections. You can't have elections brought to you by Facebook or elections brought to you by the Koch brothers. Either approach is bad, and it is illegal, and it shouldn't have happened.
So it sounds to me like what you're saying is all of this money funneled in by Zuckerberg turned local election offices into Biden get-out-the-vote centers.
That's absolutely correct. Let me give you an example. Just in Delaware County, Pennsylvania, there were enough Zucker boxes for them to put one Zucker box or drop box every 4 square miles. That's 2 miles by 2 miles square, or walking distance from your home. They also created mobile pickup units. Now, in Trump country, or in other words, the 59 counties in Pennsylvania where President Trump won in 2016, one Zucker box for every 1,159 square miles. So with that money, what the state of Pennsylvania said is if you live in a Democrat stronghold, go for a stroll and vote, or we'll come pick up your ballot. If you're in Trump country, you need to go on a weekend vacation and find Waldo. Find this drop box out of 1,100 square miles. That's a disparate impact. That's treating voters differently based on their demographics. A violation of equal protection should never happen in America.
All right, real quick, last question. I'm really short on time, so quick answer here. What's so frustrating for me is the lack of law enforcement involvement from everything from the voting machines to this, to ballot harvesting, you name it. Is there any response from law enforcement that they would look into this real quick, Philip Klein?
We haven't seen it yet, and it is disappointing. Our institutions are failing us.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Philip Klein, thank you so much. The Amistad Project is doing great work. We appreciate it. Keep us posted, buddy. We'll see you again soon.